You're watching Unplugged TV India. This is Alice Francis. Thanks for tuning in. Tough, determined, sensible, with a dry wit. Queen Elizabeth, Britain's longest reigning monarch, the nation's figurehead, and a towering presence on the world stage for 7 decades, died peacefully at her home in Scotland on Thursday at 96. Her Majesty was an intelligent, educated woman, especially for her time and gender. She was extremely witty and clever, but was also famous for her temper, something she inherited from both her father and mother. She was a master at the art of appearing regal and stately to the public and her advisors. Despite only being about 5 feet 3 inches tall, she commanded any room she entered. Famed for her bright outfits, she always said, "I have to be seen to be believed." Born on April 21, 1926 at 17 Britain Street in Mayfair, London as Elizabeth Alexander Mary, Queen was the oldest child of the Duke and Duchess of York, who later became King George VI and Queen Elizabeth. At that time, Princess Elizabeth and her family did not expect that she would one day become the monarch. Since childhood, Elizabeth showed a sense of responsibility and orderliness. She loved horses and dogs. The Queen's cousin, Margaret Rhodes, described her as a jolly little girl, but fundamentally sensible and well-behaved for her attitude. Her Royal Highness was expected to live a relatively normal, if privileged life with her close-knit and loving family. While still a teenager, Elizabeth fell in love with Prince Philip, Mountbatten of Greece and Denmark. In November 1947, the 21-year-old Elizabeth married Prince Philip, who was serving as a young officer in the Royal Navy. The couple then had 4 children: Prince Charles, Prince Anne, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward. Elizabeth's normal life suddenly changed when in 1952 her father, King George VI, died of cancer and consequently Her Majesty ascended to the throne with immediate effect. Her coronation took place in 1953, after which served as the head of the Commonwealth for 7 decades. Then Prime Minister Winston Churchill's first reaction to the King's death was to complain that the new Queen was only a child, but he was won over within days and eventually became an ardent admirer. Her Majesty became monarch at a time when Britain still retained much of its old empire. It was emerging from the ravages of World War II, with food rationing still in force and class and privilege still dominant in the society. During her reign, Queen made hundreds of overseas visits and became the most widely travelled head of multiple independent states. In 1953, the Queen and her husband embarked on a 7-month round the world tour. The couple visited 13 countries and covered more than 40,000 miles by land, sea and air. In 1961, she made the first Royal British tour of the Indian subcontinent in 50 years. The Queen visited Cyprus, India, Pakistan, Nepal and Iran and became the first reigning British monarch to visit South America and the Persian Gulf countries. Her Majesty was the first British monarch to accede to the throne after India's independence from colonial rule in 1952 and admired the richness and diversity of India, where she made 3 state visits over the course of her reign. The reign of the Queen saw the greatest changes in many spheres, including technological and industrial development and economic and social life across the world. In the decades that followed, Her Majesty witnessed massive political change and social upheaval at home and abroad. Her own family's turbulations, most notably the divorce of Charles and his late first wife Diana, were played out in full public glare. After inheriting the throne at just 25, Queen Elizabeth II gave a lifetime of service to the job, providing a bedrock of stability for the monarchy as the world shifted around her. In a 70-year-long journey as Queen, Her Majesty saw 14 Prime Ministers come and go during her reign and had just appointed a 15th on Thursday evening. British Prime Minister Liz Truss was appointed by the Queen just 48 hours before her death. Queen Elizabeth became the longest-lived British monarch in December 2007 and the longest reigning British monarch and longest reigning Queen Regent and female head of state in the world on 9 September 2015. As a 21-year-old princess, Elizabeth had vowed to devote her life to service. Reflecting on those words decades later during her Silver Jubilee in 1977, she declared, "Although that vow was made in my salad days when I was green in judgment, I do not regret nor retract one word of it." However, the reign of Queen Elizabeth wasn't just relevant for being the longest in British history, but because of all the milestones and achievements she had as head of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. A woman who wasn't destined to rule and a queen that kept her nation as one of the richest despite the many social political changes the world had. This year, the celebrations of Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee, marking 70 years of service to the people of the United Kingdom, realms and Commonwealth were held. The 4-day-long royal celebrations, while the Queen turned 96, were attended by millions of participants. Her Majesty's extraordinary life and reign, from a young girl who did not expect to be queen to an iconic and celebrated figure who has ruled for more than 70 years, came to an end on Thursday. By nightfall, as rain poured down in Scotland, came in the announcement from the palace, as brief as a telegraph from long ago. The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. The news stunned not only people in Britain, with condolences pouring in from leaders around the world. News that the Queen's health was deteriorating emerged shortly after midday on Thursday, when a doctor said she was under medical supervision, prompting her family to rush to Balmoral Castle in Scotland to be by her side. The royal family has now entered a period of mourning. In the coming days, much of a national life will be put on hold. Official engagements have been cancelled and Union flags are flown at half-mast at royal residences, government buildings across the armed forces and on UK post overseas. As the long-lived Queen leaves behind a rich legacy of inspired leadership, dignity and graceful magnanimity, deepest condolences are being poured from across the globe. There will be church bells tolling and gun salutes as local national organizations and charities organize ways to pay to their respects with commemorative events and books of condolence. A state funeral for the Queen is expected in the next 2 weeks. As Britain mourns the death of Queen Elizabeth II, her son, now King Charles III, has arrived back in London and gave her first national address as monarch. Thank you for watching Unplugged TV India. Please hit like, subscribe and share.